is overturned, abortion would become immediately illegal in at least 13 states. And these states have all passed trigger laws. That means an abortion ban that kicks in if the court overturns its precedents. But let's take a look at the rest of the country. 17 states have what's called a codified right to abortion, laws that specifically legalize abortion regardless of Roe versus Wade. These states include California, Illinois, New York, and Massachusetts. The rest of the country, 30 states, have no immediate ban nor protection in place. More states would likely implement more restrictive laws if Roe versus Wade is overturned. As of right now, abortion is still legal in every state, although access is a barrier in many of those states. And meantime, correspondent Nancy Liu is live for us in Los Angeles. And Nancy, several states already taking action, and that includes California's governor.
You're right, Nichole. California Governor Gavin Newsom reacting immediately, drawing up legislation to essentially ensure that California remains a sanctuary state for abortion. Other states moving to do the same or preparing to immediately ban access to the procedure. Within hours of the leaked opinion, Governor Newsom and other state lawmakers immediately drafted an amendment to permanently protect the right to an abortion in California. It would be put to voters statewide in November.
To have a court say you don't have a right to make a personal decision is unbelievable.
An overturning of Roe v. Wade would mean bans or restrictions in over 20 states. 13 have trigger laws waiting for the SCOTUS ruling. Some predict battles within and between the states.
When they see their residents going to other states, they may well want to stop that. They may want to criminalize that. That could be a whole nother area of conflict in and of itself.
Around the country, lawmakers on both sides ready to fight for what they believe is right.
We want fewer abortions in Virginia, not more. We, in fact, don't believe that you should be able to get an abortion all the way up through and including birth.
No matter what atrocious opinion the Supreme Court officially rolls out this summer in regards to Roe v. Wade, abortion is safe and legal in Illinois.
Well, I'm sure hoping and praying that the Roe v. Wade ruling will be overturned. But it's outrageous that there was a leak. That's just not acceptable.
More legal maneuvering among the states is expected, and major change is a given should the opinion indeed become a high court ruling.
It's going to matter a lot which state you live in. And it's also going to matter a lot whether or not you've got the education and resources to seek an abortion out of state. This is a monumental moment.
Now, another battleground is the postal system. The FDA allows for medical abortion pills to be sent by mail, but about 20 states have moved to ban or they're working on bans to make that illegal. Nichole?
All right, Nancy, thank you for that. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.